Thank you very much. We really appreciate the opportunity to speak today. My name's Auri Berg. I'm at Dow Jones. We're not the index. I hope you all know Dow Jones Risk and Compliance. We provide data, services, as well as technology to many compliance companies. Today, we decided to take on this theme of complexity in the modern world in compliance. We decided to look in depth at one of the issues that has been coming up occasionally, and that is the designation of 6 Mexican drug cartels as terrorist organizations. This designation that happened on February 20th marks a change in priority for the US administration and changes the risk landscape. And so we want to look at how due diligence can address this. I am pleased to be joined by 2 colleagues. Martha Mallory is the Chief Compliance Counsel Director at Dow Jones. She has a compliance background. She's been in compliance for over 10 years. And she was previously a political analyst at the Mexican embassy here in DC. I'm also joined by Curran O'Connell. He is the founder of Barrack Hill Research, which is a boutique research firm focusing on enhanced due diligence. And he was previously an associate with Goldman Sachs in their business intelligence group. So thank you very much for joining. So to get started, Martha, can I ask, we just saw the last survey where I think 6% voted that the cartels was a top priority. But, can you tell us about the significance of this designation in your opinion? I mean, the cartels are not new to us. 5 out of 6 of the cartels were already sanctioned over the years. But what does the terrorist designation do? What is the significance?
Thank you, Ori. Thank you for the presentation. Companies that have operations in Mexico or have any interaction in Mexico are very worried, or should be very worried, with the designation of the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. This designation bombs previous regular conduct that will just be administratively sanctioned into a crime. It criminalizes conduct that previously was just a sanction, a fine, you just pay it and you promise to do better and correct the errors and then move on. Now that's a crime, immediately it can be prosecuted. And then are not only, I mean, you can go to prison, but also like important settlements, and then opens financial institutions and companies operated in Mexico to civil liability. Just to give an example of the breadth of how pervasive cartels. We all know cartels now. I'm going to call them FTOs, is foreign terrorist organizations, which is now the new name that we should all be calling them. But now these FTOs, I made a comparison because now they are considered terrorists with a known terror group with ISIS. So I went and researched. I just compare, like ISIS is considered recently to have assets from $20 to $30 million. Well, one of the 6 designated foreign terrorist organizations, the Cartel Jalisco New Generation. So now this is a terror organization, previously a cartel. It's estimated to have between 20 and 40 billion, not millions, $billion is just one. Another cartel, which is older, the Cartel Jalisco is fairly new compared to the next one, which is Cartel of Sinaloa, is estimated to have, by the media, because there is no, of course, full information about this, from 3 to 30 billion, not millions like ISIS, $1 billion. This is, I just mentioned 2 of the 6 new terrorist organizations. and all operate in one single country. So if we consider an average of $30 billion for each one of these organizations, and there is 6, so it's $180 billion sourcing from Mexico, going to all the supply chain of the fentanyl and everything, and coming back from Mexico through all the financial systems around the globe. The Mexican financial system is not sufficient to launder all this money. This is hitting everywhere. It's corrosive. It can corrupt anybody. I mean, there is no limit to how much they will pay for authorities to look the other way. Another factor of comparison of how big is the threat and how corrosive is how big is the corrosive power of cartels is the individuals, because I mean, when you list in OFAC or who are the criminals, they don't have I mean, this is not a corporation. They don't have they don't have an LLC. These are groups that integrate as a cartel. So it's made of individuals. ISIS is estimated recently to have around 9,000 fighters. Well, the DA estimated that the cartel of Sinaloa, one of the 6 FTOs, and the cartel Jalisco New Generation, together, this is 2 of the 6 FTOs, have around 45,000 cartels. So there is other 4 that are not accounted for. So this is like 5 times more than ISIS, and this is just 2 cartels, and we have 6 in Mexico. So the LA Times estimates that the cartel have around 175,000 fighters around the globe. I mean, I don't even want to give the comparison of 9,000. 175,000, and it say that the cartel is the 5th largest employer in Mexico. Before that is Walmart, Coca-Cola, and a state-owned hospital. And everybody works in that state-owned hospital, like a lot of people. So it's like everybody has a connection. And now with the FTOs, previously with OFAC, well, if you work with an individual name specifically in OFAC, you will be sanctioned. You will be sanctioned, investigated, sanctioned, you pay the fine, and then you correct whatever happened. But now, it's not only that you should not work with individuals in OFAC, but anybody that is affiliated the cartel and you didn't run due diligence on this individual or entity that at the end of the day is supporting the cartel efforts or the FTO's efforts, now that conduct that before renders innocent will be criminalized. I will give an example. First, I will give a company, and then I will give a financial institution. One example of how this previously innocent behavior or semi-innocent behavior will renders criminal with other consequences is, for example, the Chiquita Banana case. This company was operating in Colombia, and they were paying ransom. They were paying, not ransom, right of passage for their employees to be safe. They were claiming, well, under duress, so the cartel or the group organization, a criminal organization, a criminal enterprise, don't attack my employees, my facilities, let me work in Colombia. I'm paying them monthly, periodically making a payment to this criminal organization under duress, and they thought they were doing the right thing because it's like nobody wants their employees to be unsafe. So in the middle of that, this criminal enterprise is designated an FTO. And they continue paying, which is what just happened to a lot of people in Mexico. They were paying to just a criminal group. I mean, it's like, okay, we just pay. You don't even, well, they probably don't even know who at the end of the day has the money. They just know that it's the territory. So they keep paying, and now this criminal group could be a foreign terrorist organization, which is what happened to Chiquita Banana. At the end of the day, they were sanctioned by OFAC, because they were paying to a terrorist organization, and because they are admitting they paid to a terrorist organization, they were liable and they were sued by victims of the terrorist organization. The relatives of victims of this terrorist organization sue them in an American court. So everything happened in another country, the whole thing, except that these cartel, these groups are named FTOs in US, and that opens the courts to everybody who is a victim of these terror organizations to sue. Just in 2024, last year, Chiquita Banana was, the victims were adjudicated by an American court $38 million for the victims of the cartel. They also had to pay to the FCC originally, I think $27 million. They were open to 17 painful years of litigation, and the civil liability insurance that covered the legal fees never kicked in because you were paying to the cartel. Guess what? That was not something that happened to you. It didn't occur to you that you had to pay to the cartel, or in this case, to the FTOs. You can't oppose duress. You intentionally pay a terrorist organization, so you aided and abetted a terrorist organization that continued their terror campaign. So you are liable, and the insurance is not going to help you to pay your legal fees. That's the first case of a corporation. Then we have a financial institution, the Lebanese Canadian Bank. They allowed affiliates of Hezbollah to open accounts, to have accounts, and with very suspicious name. They allowed them to use their financial system, and they just never conduct due diligence. So they, when they investigated, and the American authorities, well, at the end of the day, they have a settlement for $102 million with American authorities. They forfeited $150 million when they have allowed to $300 million to be laundered through the financial system, and the bank closed. It killed the bank. I mean, which is like the biggest consequence. Plus all this, also the bank was open to litigation, and they get sued by victims of Hezbollah in an attack of Israel, because the fact that the bank allowed the affiliates to open the accounts with money that will eventually help Hezbollah, that was aiding and abetting terrorism, that at the end affected the victims of terror. So they were sued, and it's still, the Court of Appeal is still allowed the lawsuit to move forward, because they say that you don't necessarily need 100% no. If you kind of see the red flags that this is an affiliate of a terror organization and you don't conduct due diligence, then that's willful blindness, and then you should be open to litigation. So yeah, companies should be very, very aware. Financial institutions are at the front. It is a significant change on what is open of legal consequences, and there is very steep sanctions for financial institutions and corporations.
We do have a survey, actually. Can we do the first slide? We wanted to get your perspective, I guess, on how your compliance teams are perceiving this. But on that note, Curran, what are you seeing in your business? Are clients concerned about this as well?
Yeah, just first want to say thank you so much for having me, to Dow Jones and to BAFT. It's been a great event so far. But definitely seeing a market increase in enhanced due diligence requests in high-risk jurisdictions, both Mexico, Colombia, and other regions in Latin America, as well as U.S. companies with a significant nexus to those locations. And it's definitely still early innings in terms of the regulatory changes that we're seeing, and it remains to be seen where enforcement action might go. But for my clients, definitely seeing a proactive stance being taken, trying to get ahead of what might be coming down the pike on this.
Thank you. And we see, so 50% yes. It's very interesting. We wanted to turn now to the due diligence side. And so we'll actually do the next survey as well while you have your apps open. We wanted to now focus on some of the red flags, just, which of these red flags do you think are most concerning? And on that note, Martha, could you tell us, from a screening perspective, what kind of data is out there that can be used to, to screen for cartel links?
Yeah, so it's everybody has mentioned AI, and we are going to talk further about that. But these individuals are experts. Like they have dedicated probably 25 last years of their life to go underground, to be ghosts. They don't exist so AI will be using AI to pick up this kind of information on identifying is very hard. So just starting with then what it is available and is reliable. Well, of course you have the OFAC list, which is publicly available, and it lists the individual that previously were narcotics. Now they are designated as a special designated global terrorist. OFAC indicates that you cannot work with them or any entity that they own up to 50%, minimum 50% that is owned. So they are shareholders of these entities, but OFAC doesn't list the entities that these individuals that are sanctioned own. So they are available, commercially available lists that originate from OFAC designated organizations or individuals, particularly organizations where the research has been done of, okay, what entities do they own in Mexico? And this is like to incorporate a company in Mexico. Well, you go to the federal registry, and that's the work that is done to research these individuals that are in OFAC that actually have companies legally operating in Mexico and which assets have not been seized and they are not flagged and nobody knows that they own these entities. Well, here are all the related entities to these individuals or these companies. That's one. Another one are the individuals related to the cartel or to these entities. How do you find, again, these individuals that are doing all the lead work for the cartel? They generally are on the ground intentionally for years. They just, you see, in 10 years, they disappear and they don't exist. There are also lists commercially available that identify from different sources in Mexico, significantly media, mainly media, which is media is very robust in Mexico because it's picked up by the whole media. It's not just one. It's several of them identify individuals as indirectly related to the drug cartel. And that's another type of list that companies could use to identify red flags.
And so, Curran, we have data, right, that we can screen, but it's not comprehensive. What kind of sources do you use? What methodology do you use to do enhanced due diligence in Mexico and in the region?
Yeah, the public record research in the region requires a bit more of a nuanced approach compared to the US, where you have sort of more robust journalistic sources that are more readily available and that are more consistent in that availability. It's not uncommon to have a media article that's up for 1 month and then it's gone the next month for one reason or another. So to Martha's point, having a subscription service using databases that are able to archive information that maybe might not be getting archived by the actual publishers for nefarious reasons or not is very important. But you definitely when you're doing the enhanced due diligence, you want to go beyond the media and the watch lists and try to take a more holistic approach to doing the research that incorporates legal and regulatory databases based on the availability in different jurisdictions, looking at family backgrounds, utilizing social media, dark web sources, and even in some cases going in country for confidential local source commentary to get a better understanding of who you're looking at and going kind of beyond just what's out there in the media reporting for the individual or for the company.
You mentioned confidential sources. Could you just talk a little bit about I guess, what does that give you? What are the pros and cons of using that? And I was, in looking into this, anyone who's cooperating, if they're located in Mexico, they're potentially at risk. I mean, one thing that, we've seen is that the cartels, they are not only very numerous and very wealthy, but they they are involved in many areas of the economy, right? We mentioned limes, but certain cartels are involved in shipping, involved in mining. So and what the Wall Street Journal actually recently published an article on this, and one of the things that struck me is they said that according to Pentagon estimates, the cartels control approximately 1/3 of Mexico, and in particular, state and municipal government, right? So they are at every level almost. So any kind of potential collaboration or participation creates risk for the person who's providing you information. So just curious about, using confidential sources. How do you see that?
Yeah, it's certainly a double-edged sword, and a lot of what you bring up are great points about what you need to be wary of when engaging this type of research. You just have to be mindful of the bias that exists in these jurisdictions with folks that you're speaking with, as well as the just far-reaching grasps of these organizations. So working with folks who have well-cultivated networks that they can trust is very important. Also having folks on the US side that understand the regulatory regimes that apply and are able to contextualize source findings is very important, because it's not infrequent to get commentary that may make allegations without any type of substantiation, or that just may not really understand what the end goal of what they're talking about is. So having a both trusted network and having folks who are able to kind of go through the information and finesse it into something that's actionable and useful is key, and easier said than done.
I forgot, we will leave a little time for questions. So if you have any questions, please send them in. We have one last survey on the topic of artificial intelligence. This has come up frequently. And so I guess this is a question to both of you. To what extent are you seeing, you're both practitioners, to what extent are you seeing AI helping in this process? Does it assist, is it strengthening your research? Is it changing your research process, or any strengths or concerns you have about AI? A question to both.
Thank you. So AI is fantastic for all sort of results. That is very helpful. But you need the data, and the data has to be there, and it has to be available, and you have to be able to use it. With foreign terrorist organization, with cartels, again, these are extraordinarily sophisticated criminal enterprises that have all these schemes of going I don't know, like right now, the latest scandal that I've heard with the Sinaloa cartel is that they are circumventing all sort of sanctions by once the money makes it to US, once the fentanyl is sold, the drug sold, how do you send it back to the Sinaloa cartel? Well, there is these brokers that help to funnel the money through China, via China to Mexico. So how it works is that an individual contact a Chinese citizen physically located in China that has the money but can take over $50,000 outside of China. You all are experts on these regulations. And so what they do is just based from US, this individual purchase something, real estate, an apartment in New York, let's say Miami, for $1 million, just to say something, under the name of this individual located in China. Then the individual located in China purchase assets or purchase anything that is going to be exported to Mexico and send it to Mexico through a third party, and then makes it to the Sinaloa cartel, who then sell it in Mexico, resell it in Mexico, and then boom, you have the money, and they are circumventing. The point is that a lot of these individuals, from the beginning, how it starts and how it ends in Mexico, they are all experts of going on the ground. So it's not the data is not necessarily there. I've searched it and I tried to find it, and it's like there is eventually, I'm sure we're going to be there, but not right now. So for Mexico, yeah, it's they have done this very creative, and it's a very pervasive industry. Even if it's there, it's like it's so capable of corrupt the entire system around it that yeah, it's difficult to detect.
Yeah, just to add a little bit on that, I think the data availability in Latin America can be a real challenge. The information that is out there and that is available can also be very dense and very lengthy. So leveraging AI to parse through that, to find what good information is buried within a 200-page legal document or 300 pages of corporate registry records has been proven to be invaluable already, and kind of look forward to seeing both record availability mature in the region, as well as the technological developments that would allow us to leverage that information effectively. So I think there's a long way to go, but I'm already seeing on my end ways where I can kind of speed up what research that would previously have taken me days, I can do in some cases in a matter of hours. So it's very helpful in that respect, but still also being mindful that at the end of the day, there needs to be someone who knows what they're looking at that information and double checking and ensuring that what's coming across is accurate, because there are all the hallucination risks with LLMs, among other kind of data validity issues that need to be kept in mind as well.
Just one thing to add, like yesterday we're talking about checks, and so there are filings in Latin America that are done handwritten. Like, forget the fact that the cartel does not go to court, right? They are not going to file an LLC. No, they don't go to court. So they don't have a legal name. There are filings that are done handwritten. I mean, I think where is AI going to fit there is like still not there, because those systems, like just recently they started documented like litigation and records. It's not like it has been there forever. So yeah, it's going to take a while. It's going to make it there, but not now, where we have the risk today since February 20.
Thank you both so much. We're out of time, but thank you for the great panel, and let's call it a day.
Thank you.
Thank you.